This is the Live Well and Thrive podcast, hosted by Michael Torchia, health and wellness expert. It's time to shape up, America.
Hi, this is Mike Torchia, and welcome to Live Well and Thrive. I have a very special guest, Josh Macciello. He is the CEO of Global Session Studios, and all he's about is making really impactful, relevant films. It's all about making a difference in people's lives and inspiring people. So, Josh, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, I saw that you have two really great projects out. One is the Relentless Patriot, Scott Lobato, correct?
Yeah, Scott is an activist, artist. He's fighting for our rights every day, getting arrested for our rights every day. The man is, he's really, really amazing. By the way, Apple iTunes just picked it up. It's showing our movie, The Relentless Patriot. It's on Apple TV right now.
Fantastic. And now I heard it's on X also.
No, The Man You Don't Know is the other movie.
Oh,
we
that
did.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So following that, Mike, we were blessed to be at Mar-a-Lago in March and have President Trump. We rented out the whole joint. You know, Italians, how we like to do it.
Sure.
I went to Mar-a-Lago. I rented out every hotel room. We stayed there for a week. We showed The Relentless Patriot, and President Trump showed up. And we wound up conversing and talking a few days. And I got to meet his team. And from that, I was able to make a movie with the Trump family called The Man You Don't Know.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So who did you come up with this idea?
Yeah. So when we went for The Relentless Patriot, I told my whole team, I'm walking out of there with rights to make a movie about the president because we knew a lot that wasn't being told about him. We knew what the media was driving and what narrative they were. And by having the relationships we have, we knew we wanted to have a new story out there. So I began writing and wrote a script. And, we got the Trump family involved, Don Jr., Eric Trump, Laura Trump, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and even the granddaughter, Kai Trump. They were all part of the movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And so where was it filmed?
We filmed it at Jupiter Trump International. So we filmed a lot of it there. We filmed at Trump International in New York by Columbus Circle. We filmed it in Florida. We were in different parts. We went to Tampa to film Hulk Hogan, who was a great addition to it. And then we came back home here and filmed your buddy, Frank Stallone.
Sure,
Who Frank, I got to say, Hulk and Frank, both Italians, if people don't know. People don't realize Hulk Hogan's an Italian. His real name's Terry Boroa. They both stole the show, if you ask me. The passion that they have for the country and standing up for what's right, they both stole the show, and they were key parts to our film.
Yeah, Frank told me he had a wonderful time, and he's so articulate.
Yeah.
He's so well read, and he's totally a Trumpster,
Yeah.
And no one can ever say bad in front of him about Trump.
That's right.
And so we always have these wonderful discussions. But he shared with me, it was a beautiful experience. He said your team was incredible. It was just a joy to be on the documentary. So thanks for doing that for him.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Even Hulk, it was funny because I grew up being a Hulk Hogan fan.
Yeah.
Growing up in Brooklyn and seeing all the wonderful things he did. And when he came to the premiere, we premiered it at Mar-a-Lago, and President Trump, wound up showing up. It was really cool. Hulk came in and he was watching. I saw him intense. I'm like, man, is he going to like this or not? He puts his hand on my shoulder afterwards. Two things. You made me look terrific. Better yet, you made the president look even better. Thank you for that. So for us, it melted our hearts because that's all we wanted to do. The movie, Mike, was about things that President Trump did for people that people didn't know, whether it was buying a 5-generational farm that they were losing just because of a bad economy, and the farmer killed himself because he was losing it on his watch. So what did President Trump do? Bought the farm and gave the deed to the family. Wow. A guy who couldn't afford $20,000 special treatments for cancer that was a rare cancer went to pay his bills and realized he had hundreds of thousands of dollars of bills that were paid, and he didn't know who paid. President Trump paid for it. So there was a lot of stories like that were in the movie that we told.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I know cast Donald for probably over 40 years. After I won, it was the Mr. Collegiate USA. I think I was like 20 years old. He had known I was the bodybuilder in New York that was making the new noise and the young guy, and I was, I was shredded and long hair. So he had me judge the Miss USA competition. And it was a blast. He really made sure all the judges were well taken care of, first class. And those shows were just, the women were magnificent.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I always saw he was like the greatest guy, and he treated everybody with great respect. And there was this big event that went on. They had an expo, and there was this woman that had this clothing line, And apparently some people broke into the convention area where they were about to open up the show, and they just wrecked it.
Oh, wow.
And so Donald was doing the walkthrough. He said, Mike, what happened to this booth? I said, I don't know. I think maybe one of the other vendors maybe didn't like the fact that they had better clothes and had the hottest models or whatever the day before. He goes, well, find out what it cost. And he made sure this woman was reimbursed for everything. He had a team come back, reset up everything.
Amazing.
Just to help this woman who was there to put on this event to help promote the Miss USA. So I saw acts of kindness.
Well, your buddy Frank Stallone tells a great story on how his mother was selling astrology books in one of the hotels, and Trump found out it was the Stallone's mom, and he went and bought every single book and handed it out to all the employees and guests there.
Wow.
You know, those little acts of kindness that he never brags about. You know, people say he's a narcissistic person. Narcissistic people have to go and say they did those things.
Yeah.
He never said these. A lot of these stories, nobody knew. Even some of his own staff had no idea of these stories we were telling.
Yeah, you know, it's something about the character of people that when they don't promote things, like Sean Penn, when Katrina happened, he had a photographer hired to take pictures of him saving people, you know, and it was staged. And then Angelina Jolie, when she had all those kids she was adopting, they had a photographer that was taking pictures of them coming out of the gate. But people didn't realize that those kids never lived with her. They had lived in an outside property, and they would drive them up the back gate, and then she'd do the photo ops. And there's so many other people. Roseanne Barr is one of my dearest friends. She has been paying for, over the past 20 years, $2 million a year for this charity for girls. These are like orphanages and so on, and they do a summer camp, and she pays for them for the 2 months to go to this camp. She buses the girls up there. There's all these programs, and she's been maintaining this program, which costs her $2 million a year for over 20 years. I said to her, Roseanne, why don't you share with people? Because, you know, they always say this bad shit about it. She goes, because I do it from the heart.
Yeah.
I don't need to share that. I do because I want to help out the girls. These girls they're orphans and been abandoned, and they need guidance. And if I know I can change their lives, because I came from the worst, from a trailer park.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a camp like that. You know, maybe I wouldn't be so messed up, you know? And so I find that when people don't brag about it, those are the kind of people you should be looking up to and respect.
And those are the people we want to tell stories about. And that's what our studio, we're not just going to make documentaries. A lot of fans like, oh, you guys, well, no, you know, during the time of the world, we needed to tell these two stories.
Yeah.
You needed to know about this guy from Staten Island who, in a very small borough, was sitting there ranting and raving and trying to make people aware of what the world saw was actually happening. And then we needed to tell the story about a guy who maybe wasn't treated as fairly his first run and then really didn't get treated fairly. I mean, the stuff you see in our movie about how they came after him, you know, legally, and they tried to take his money away and all the things. And now we're starting to see it was all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we wanted to tell. And it's funny you say Roseanne, you know, I was just asked, you know, about a project that she's involved in. I said, you know what, she's done such great work. I'd back anything she's in. I'd put money behind anything she's in because she's a very talented woman.
Oh, she's fantastic. Beautiful human being.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's the guy that she's with now, I was actually with her when she was single, in between husbands, of course. Yeah. And we were working out one day, and I said, well, you know, you should try this Match.com. I've been meeting all kinds of really interesting women. She goes, what's that? So we talked about it. So she put a picture together, and we created a profile. And of course, she tried to put a disguise on. I go, what's that? You can put any disguise you want. They're going to know it's you.
Exactly.
So sure enough, she got this one response from this guy. I forget where it was, Kentucky, whatever. And there's a picture of him playing a guitar. He had his hound dog on the porch of his cabin. He's a songwriter, just a good old boy. She's still with him today. It's been probably 30 years
Amazing.
now.
Amazing.
And it was from the dating app.
That's so wild.
You know, and I just said, why don't you try?
Yeah.
She was like, really? and so every time I see her and Johnny, it just touches my heart that it was part of that.
That's special.
That special
That's
moment.
special.
But, you know, also, I heard that the Trump documentary was shadow blocked from the theaters, correct?
Correct.
So what happened?
So we signed a deal to, just like the Libido movie, we had pushback with that. You know, people realized when Sound of Freedom came out, they dealt with a lot of BS. We thought, all right, times change, maybe not. So when Relentless Patriot first came out, we were promised 800 screens, and it got knocked down to 400 or 500. They gave us 800 day one so they can keep the commitment that they signed, and then immediately day two. Now, the irony with the Relentless Patriot is a lot of those theaters sold out, not a seat in the house, and they still pulled us the next day. So we thought, all right, Trump's got momentum. He just got almost assassinated. They all tried to kill him. There's no way they're going to do this. So we get a commitment of 1,000 screens. We're happy. We go do the premiere, the 25th it's coming out. Trump's going to do the rally at Madison Square Garden. We're getting people pre-selling, ready to buy. All of a sudden, from Buffalo to Jersey, all the theaters are gone in New York. We don't have a single theater. Wow. We're like, what? So now we start seeing that trend. California, I made a mistake. I said one. We had 2 screens, Simi Valley and in Burbank, California, and they only showed it at 11 a.m. in the morning. Who's got time if you're working? I got a busy life to go to the gym at 11 once a day. So we were not happy, and I called Trump's senior advisor who helped put this together, named Lynn Patton, amazing woman who's been with the Trump family for 17 years. And I said, Lynn, you know, I'm sorry. This movie's great. We wanted it to get out there, but we're getting shadow banned heavy. Even the advertisements on Facebook and everywhere are getting held down. And she goes, Josh, let me see what I can do. So I guess rumor has it she went and talked to the man. And, and she said, they really are upset. Not that they made the movie, the fact that nobody's going to get to see it. So about an hour later, I get a call from Elon Musk's team at X. And they said, hey, we want to put this up on X the Friday before the election, if you don't mind. So basically, the Friday before the election, it goes up on X all the way through Tuesday night. We had 48 million views. Elon posted it himself saying you should go see it. Benny Johnson posted it. And from there, the whole Trump family posted. And I think today, if you count everybody, Elon, Benny, and the Trump family, we're at like 84 million views right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you didn't give up and you kept pushing.
No, and you have to find new ways. Look, of course, we want to make money, Mike, and we wanted the film to make money. We didn't make it with that in mind. We made it because we wanted people to get a fair shake on who they were potentially voting for going into that voting booth. No, if you don't think the movie was good, then you could still vote the other way. But we wanted you to have a clear idea, because if you watch this movie, it doesn't push the narrative of vote for Trump. It's, hey, this is what this man's went through. What do you think? We made Hulk Hogan cry twice during filming this movie. Hulk cried, and he said, it's so funny, you son of a bitch, you made me cry. It's pretty big man, he's still a big man, by the way, in shape.
God, I trained with him when I was like in my 20s at Gold's Gym. What a lovable guy.
Very.
I mean, such a sweetheart of a guy. And when you're a friend to him, friend for life.
That's amazing. Yeah. Look, you have a lot of people that you congregate with who I'm big fans of. Nick Vallelonga came to both my events.
Yeah.
And I saw, and he was a friend of a friend. And, Nick's a great guy who makes really great movies as well. I mean, The Green Book's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, his dad, beautiful, God bless his soul, was a wonderful human being. And Nicky was working on this project for like over 25 years to do the movie. And he really wanted his father to see the movie. It's so sad that he had passed away, but
4 Oscars later, though. 4 Oscars the movie could win. God bless him.
He did a beautiful job. So what's next after these two?
So we have an exciting slate of movies coming up. We were asked to make a feature film / movie about Rudy Giuliani. So that's in the works right now, because Rudy's getting beat up a bit for standing up for President Trump. And I love that Trump tweeted yesterday, save Rudy. I thought that was really good timing. Trump came out and showed support.
I can't believe that lawsuit against him for that tremendous amount of money, and why a judge would even allow such disgusting amounts of money to be granted to people for some issue with slander.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
what was like 130 million or something?
And that 130 million. And that's why we want to tell his story and stand behind him, because he stood behind our movement. And look at what it cost him, his license. He has no more license to practice.
And the humiliation coming in his home after what he did. I remember when I was in New York, still living in New York, he cleaned up the mob from controlling New York City. he changed lives. He saved lives. And they just look at him now as like a piece of shit.
Well, Mike, 2001, when the buildings were falling, he was America's mayor. Everybody loved that man for how he rallied. I mean, with all due respect, the governor, for what's going on here now with fires and stuff, you look at what Rudy did during buildings falling and planes going into buildings. He kept everybody in good spirits. Everybody here is freaking out because they feel like they were let down by a governor and a mayor.
Well, let me tell you something. Knowing from Rudy's past experiences handling situations, if Rudy Giuliani was the mayor or governor of California, a lot of this shit wouldn't have happened. He always made sure it's best to prepare.
Yes.
Prepare. That's what you have to do. Don't wait till there's a situation to address it. And I just know that we need to do something about what's going on with our elected officials because, like my father used to say, do not get mad at the person that's running for office when they don't do what they're supposed to do because your neighbors voted them in.
That's right.
So don't get mad at them. Get mad at the neighbors who put him in office, gave him the power to do that. And that's what I think is we need to take back control and stop giving a person a position because they're a Democrat, Independent, Republican. Because listen, I'm a Republican, but you know what? If there was an Independent or a Democrat that I thought could do a better job, I'm going to vote for the person that best suits that position in our city, in our state.
You are, look, we live here, so we can say this. People on the outside, probably not. This is what you vote for. Yeah. When you vote and you're like, well, how could this happen? Well, you voted for this. And I'm not trying to be cruel because I live here. I'm also seeing my family and friends deal with this. But I have to say, we've been saying this kind of stuff for a while that we're not prepared. And just because their boogeyman called President Trump said it on a Joe Rogan podcast 8 months ago, predicted this to happen verbatim because of not being prepared. Look, man, you're about health and fitness and keeping yourself. It's all about preparation. Everything you do is about preparation. Yeah. And if you're properly prepared, you won't deal with these kind of things. And hopefully this leads to us going to different areas like health and fitness. I want a guy like Robert Kennedy who can do pull-ups and not a guy that you had there before that couldn't even look like they can get out of bed. That's going to be the head of our health administration in America. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. I always believe in hiring people that practice what they preach. You know, if you go to have someone cut your hair and your hair looks like a mess and they look terrible, you want them to touch your hair?
Yeah.
Same thing with a trainer. You want a trainer that exemplifies the physicality of a person. You don't want to see someone that's kind of has the rolls of fat on the side of the waist and poor posture and poor development. You want someone that's going to inspire you because it's a visual thing when you're training with someone. But when it comes to government, I find that a lot of these politicians, it's all about sizzle.
Yeah.
They'll tell you whatever you want to hear. And I think the situation here, you can't point the finger on just one person. It's collectively that there were issues. Now, I spoke to a representative from the fire department. I said, what happened with the water situation? He goes, Mike, there's water, but the problem is the water system they have set up is not updated. It's very archaic. In fact, there were so many areas where they were pulling water from, the pressure was so low. It wasn't that we didn't have water. The pressure low was so low, really couldn't do anything. These massive fires that were going on. He said they have to create a new water system. But this is something we've been asking for. We've been asking the mayor and the governor, we need to update the systems. But they've been saying, no, we have budget cuts for this and that. But then they're putting more money for equal rights and also other things, LGBTQ, whatever these different groups needed funding. What about the safety of our citizens? And that's why I get upset when I see things where I hear my friends and family and other people on the news that lost their homes and lost their lives.
Pets, animals, family members. $24 billion went to homeless. I don't see it anywhere. I don't see that they did anything for the homeless at all. $24 billion is gone, is lost. And you cut $100 million in something so important as our water system for fires. I mean, the things that these folks do are just mind-boggling. So I believe that people are now starting to see that they were voting with their feet rather than with their heads, you know?
Yeah, and we have to make a change, but I think it's we as the citizens of this state need to make the change. We can't rely on someone to do it because all these politicians are going to tell you what you want to hear. Like I was watching on the news, there was a woman, and it was live, a broadcast, where the woman went up to Governor Newsom and said, "What are you going to do about this?" And he goes, "What am I going to do? I'm on the phone right now with the President Biden, and we're going to talk about what our plans are doing." She goes, "Well, then put him on speakerphone. I want to hear it." He goes, "No, I can't do that." She goes, "Well, put him on the speakerphone." He goes, "Well, he's not on the phone. I've been trying to call him." So you see what I'm saying? I mean, be real. I would say, listen, I'm trying to call him now.
Yeah.
No, he said, first he said, I was on the phone with her. Yeah. And then when it first hit, the fire was really bad. I saw it on the news, and it replays on YouTube and all these others. They said, "Well, what are you going to do about it, Governor Newsom?" Well, I have to figure out what happened. What was it? Why is it all happening? He had no clue.
And then he said, what about the fire hydrants? He goes, they're going to have to figure that out for themselves. I mean, these kind of responses, un-Rudy-like, when we were talking about that. And that's something else it leads to. We're doing a political thriller that's going to open people's eyes in a lot of things that have been going on in politics for a long, long time. Where there's a very famous writer named Joe Esterhaus who wrote something many, many years ago that we snatched up, and we're going to be making that. We want to be eye openers to people. We want people to get real information because they seem to be doing a great job of having false information put in their laps.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I've been working on it for quite a while now, putting together a documentary called Deconstruction of America. What has caused us for our economy to lapse, and to also our health of our nation. And I've been slowly putting together, showing how it's all consistent over the years, where other places where ill health, where there's a lack of employment and other issues, we have the same thing, but it actually is stronger and more powerful in the U.S., and we're supposed to be the strongest country in the world, and we're self-destructing, right? Yeah. And it's not just the political people, there's all other, the big pharma, all these other things that are causing all these issues. So I'm meticulously putting it together, and I will self-fund it because I want people to realize you could do something about it in your communities. Let's make a difference. I want to empower people to go out there and speak your mind and talk to people and go to the libraries or wherever hearings are having and state your concerns and make people aware, because you can make a change. And I love the fact that you both, these two documentaries. Scott, I know he's a colorful character. I know he loves to curse a lot. Yeah. He must have to do a lot of editing,
that's
right?
What hurt. No, he wanted us to leave it in, Mike, and that's what hurt us. He's like, how come streamers aren't running for us? I said, Scott, they said you had 396 curse words, man. I mean, it was just, and that's, don't bleep it. It was kind of hard. We finally were able to get it in the right place.
Wow. And he's such a great artist.
He's a good human being, too.
Is amazing. Yeah. And he's a colorful character.
Yeah.
And he's been arrested like every week, right?
I think it's over 150 times. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. The famous one is when he threw the pizzas at the mayor's doorstep because they wanted to get rid of pizza ovens in New York because they were bad for the environment.
Oh gosh.
So Scott went with a dozen pies and threw them at the mayor's doorstep. He does those kind of fun things. So look. We're going to continue, it takes guys like you putting a podcast like you've done this last year or two and having folks on to put the voice out there, because we started our own streaming platform that's going to launch, and it's already been pre-launched, but it's going to launch. I'm not going to talk too much about it yet, but it's going to have a big launch where we're going to have our own stuff launched that we don't get censored. You don't have to worry. Free speech is free speech. The First Amendment exists where you don't have to worry. Even if it's something you say that I don't like, it shouldn't matter. It's free speech. These are the kind of things we're protecting, Mike.
No, that's beautiful, because, with my show, I just tell people, listen, we speak our piece. Yeah. It's like a fireside chat with my guest. Maybe you don't agree with us, but that's okay. We're at least getting you to think out of the box. Yes. And maybe consider some of the things we're saying could apply to your life. Because I'm not preaching to tell people you have to think like I do. I'm just provoking people so they start thinking and saying, hey, I could do that. I can change it. Especially with health. But the show's called Live Well and Thrive. But I discuss everything. Yeah. The art of filmmaking, why you do what you do. Like when you were growing up, did you think you were going to be a filmmaker?
It always was. I love TV shows. So, we grew up single mom, raising this little Italian woman, raising my sisters and I. I was the middle child. And we used to always sit back and use those characters to have, that's going to be our life someday. We wanted to be better. Because you see your mother working. First of all, I raised 3 kids with my wife. And having somebody else is very, very hard. Imagine a woman doing it on her own, 3 kids. And I grew up with the boys in New York. So
Sure.
I wasn't the easiest kid growing up. So to see what my mother went through to make sure I had a good life, food on the table and all that, I would turn my attention into television to gather some family, some good. And as I grew older, I said, you know what? Someday I want to create those moments that were created for me. That was my goal.
Now, is your mom alive?
My mom's still with us. She just
God
left.
bless her
She
soul.
comes she stays in Florida. She loves Florida. I'm not going to your stupid state. I hate your politics. I hate everything. It's a little Italian woman. So she came. She makes her dishes. Stayed here a month. Made every dish you can imagine for my kids and my wife and I. And then she went back home last week. So yeah, I got to spend time with her.
Well, I'm launching a cooking show called Live Well and Thrive. So do you know her recipes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so when we start the show, come on.
I'm
we'll
in.
make a good sauce, some meatballs, whatever.
Beautiful.
Rigatoni's,
Beautiful.
Eggplant parmesan. My father loved making chicken cacciatore.
Oh, forget it. So good. That's
the
so
best.
good. Listen,
mean,
I always bump into you in Rayo's. I know you're a big Rayo's guy over here.
I love Rams. Meatballs. Oh my
yeah,
God,
the
to
meatballs
die
are so
for.
good. They do. They melt in your mouth.
I go there, all I get is the meatballs.
I get the meatballs and the baked clams. I got to have the baked clams.
The clams are great,
Yeah,
too.
the clams are really good.
And always to see Johnny Williams,
Oh.
Johnny roast beef.
Johnny roast beef's
He
always
makes
there.
it the best, boy.
Yeah.
They walk in. That's why I love our industry. People may cuss out, say, you guys are full of shit and this and that. No. There's a lot of beautiful people in our industry that have the right intent and do it because they love the joy of creating wonderful piece of art like you have.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to do it. You had a cousin named Frank Torchia.
Yeah, Frank Torchia. Yeah.
Frank's the one who brought me the Relentless Patriot. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had the Relentless Patriot. He had a deal signed with Scott. And next thing you know, I'm like, wow, there's Torchia names all around me. I have other guys.
Oh, Frank is relentless.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a relentless filmmaker.
Yeah, he is.
What's he
Absolutely.
got, like 50 TV shows
Oh,
now?
absolutely. He's on fire. And
he's like a machine.
Listen, he's doing something now with Tom Homan. That's all I could say. He's pretty remarkable.
He
What he's
told
doing.
me about this thing with what's that guy? His name? It's called Play It Forward.
With
it's
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo. Frank's working with Kevin Sorbo.
And where they go and help people.
Yeah.
They call it Play It Forward.
Yeah.
But he plays golf.
He plays golf, and as they help and generate for other people, which is a beautiful. See those kind of things. That's the people I surround myself to work with.
Wow. Are you going to be involved with that show too?
Frank's one of those guys. Whenever he calls, I help any way I can. He's like, Josh, I need something, and vice versa. It's an Italian thing. If you guys don't know, the Italians, we like to be there for one another. So.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on today, Josh.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you.
Thank
We've
you.
known each other over the years.
Yeah.
But the fact that where you've taken the direction of your company and creating impactful, content, really meaningful content, because I've seen people that sold out and just want to be whatever they want to sell to the streamers and just keep flipping trash. You, I notice, are meticulous. You take your time and you don't rush. And you make sure everything is, well, that's probably the trait of an Italian. Right?
That's
It's
right.
like when we cook.
That's right.
It's meticulous.
Shoemaker, furniture, whatever. Yeah.
My grandmother would be in the kitchen for like 8 hours to make sauce, right? Now, they take it out of the can, heat it up in 20 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's not us. No.
But really, thank you for coming on. And I want you to come back later on after the next project. However, we'll help promote it.
Thank you.
So we can make sure people get in the theaters to see your beautiful content.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and keep doing what you're doing. We need you.
Thank you, brother.
All right. God bless.
Thanks for watching Live Well and Thrive. And if you have people who care about, please forward this episode, share it. And I need you to subscribe on YouTube. Your support helps me keep going with this show. Thanks for watching.